perhaps with a family, certainly one who had friends, relatives, and contacts who thought of him as a normal individual.
Linda Mann was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Former cop turned author Joseph Wambaugh wrote a best-selling book entitled The Blooding. It chronicles the events surrounding the murder of Linda Mann and the history-making investigation which would follow.
It's very unusual, and still is, in a village like Narborough in Britain, for a complete stranger to ambush and murder someone on a footpath. I mean, it was so unheard of.
Police questioned thousands of people about Linda Mann's whereabouts on the night she was killed.
They put more into a murder investigation over there, which they call an inquiry, than we do here, because they have so few murders compared to us.
While police investigated every lead, fear held villagers hostage.
I think young ladies should be very scared, because we haven't found him, so we don't really know what's happening at all. Yes, I've made an extra point of keeping my back door locked now whenever I'm in on my own. Well, any time, really.
Linda Mann was buried in a churchyard not far from where she was murdered. On the day of her funeral, police set up a surveillance and videotaped the crowd for anything or anyone unusual.
Often one finds that criminals will revisit the scene of the crime or some other activity associated with the crime, and it was just a precaution.
Today, police issued a new poster to try to jog people's memories.
But it was of little help. The investigation dragged on for months, then a year. With no eyewitnesses, few strong leads, and several false trails, the murder hunt hit a dead end.
Well, really, in any police investigation, after a week or two, the trail is usually cold. It's quite difficult.
We suffer all the time.
Yes, please come forward.
All along, Linda's parents held out hope that the killer of their daughter would be caught.
The only thing that they could possibly get now was justice for their daughter, and that seemed to be going away from them.
It's always frustrating when you know, you've not got an answer to a problem, and I mean, you're forever looking over your shoulder, A, to see what you've missed, and then trying to guess what might happen in the future.
And the search for Linda Mann's killer continued for the next 3 years. 3 years had passed since the murder of Linda Mann, and life in the small village of Narborough was beginning to return to normal, until the afternoon of July 31st, 1986. Another 15-year-old schoolgirl, Dawn Ashworth, was walking home from her part-time job at a newsstand. Instead of taking the main road, she took a shortcut down a thickly overgrown footpath called P. It can identify an individual based on just a small amount of their DNA. DNA that can come from semen, blood, hair roots, and other cells. DNA is a complex chemical which is present in all living cells. It's a little like a computer program, containing coded instructions on how to make a human being. No two individuals have the same DNA pattern, except for identical twins. Dr. Jeffrey's task was to take the semen recovered from Linda Mann and Dawn Ashworth and compare it to the blood sample from Richard Buckland to see if it was a match. First, white blood cells from Richard Buckland's blood sample were treated with a special chemical solution that allows the DNA, a sticky white substance, to float free. Next, the DNA is cut into smaller pieces using special proteins called restriction enzymes, which act like chemical scissors. The DNA fragments must then be sorted out by a process called electrophoresis. The DNA is marked with a radioactive dye and placed in separate lanes on an electrophoretic gel. Then it's subjected to an electric...
on which DNA really cut its teeth in the forensic sense.
The door has been opened to a whole new aspect of medical investigation.
People will be talking about this case 100 years from now, not because of my book, but because of Alec Jeffrey's discovery.